Hi, I'm Linda Hendrickson here in my studio in Portland, Oregon. And in this little video, I'm going to show and describe my book, How to Make Ply-Split Baskets. And I'm going to show you each one of the baskets. This book has over 400 photos, step-by-step photos of how to make 12 different baskets. For all of the baskets in the book, I used black and craft raffia paper ribbon. I didn't want to use color because that adds another entire dimension, much more complication. So I just used a light and dark value, and what I did was made 4-ply cords out of the ribbon. So here's what the cords look like. And then I used a grip fid to split the cords and to pull other cords through. So everything is made by pulling cords through other cords. And you can go to look at my other videos to see how the cords are made and how the grip fit is used. The first basket is called Spiral. And basically this basket is just a spiral braid where every once in a while the braid is attached to itself to make it into a basket. So in the instructions, it shows how to start the braid and has several different pictures of the different steps to keep that nice spiral design in the middle. And then it's finished off with a little wrapping on the end. This basket is called Waffle, and it's made with 2-ply cords where 1 ply is light and 1 ply is dark. And then it's worked in plain oblique twining with a full twist between the splittings. And that keeps one color dominant on one side and the other dominant on the other side. For this basket, you start out by stringing the cords on a knitting needle, and then you basically make a little triangle, which then eventually turns into a square, and then into a circle. And once you have your little circle, then you'd go up the sides and use a separate cord to make a rim. The next basket is called Chameleon, and this basket starts with a square base, which isn't really square because the cords squish in a little bit. But then the sides and the rim are just made with one long cord that changes color along the way. And I'll show you in the book how that happens. So here we have the instructions, starting out with stringing the cords on the knitting needle. And then here is the diagram, or the photo actually, of the decorative cord, which changes color along the way. And I have these illustrations showing how to make that cord. And then the cord is just added to the base. You just go round and round, and then pull the top cords down, and you're finished. This one is called Loopy, and it has what would be a square base except for the distortion, which is caused by the way the cords are put in. And then the sides are open with made with plain oblique twining with some extra twists between the splittings, and then the cords in the rim are pulled down but left so that there are loops around the top. So this one starts out with a little square, and then more and more cords are added all around the sides to complete your squarish shape. And then once the square is finished, all of the cords are just split. It's basically tubular plain oblique twining up the sides, and then the cords are pulled down for the little loops. This is called Venus, and it starts with a pentagon for the base, and the cords are split in a certain way to make the design that you see here show up. And then there's a dark rim that is added, and the cords pull down. Here is how it works. Adding the cords to make the little pentagon, and then just continuing to add. And by the way the colors are, the way the cords are split determines the exact design that shows up. So once all the cords are added, then the sides are worked until you get to the end and put on that rim cord and pull the cords down. This one is called the Arrowhead, and it starts out with a hexagon base, so you have these little arrowhead shapes, and then going up the sides. This is worked in single course oblique twining. Here's the start, very similar to the previous one, except you're starting with 6 cords to make your base. And you can see how different that makes the design. And then once you've got your base finished, just go up the sides, and that design that you see just happens automatically. And then finally, you have a long, dark rim cord. And you put that on and then pull the cords down. This one is called the Asilomar basket, and it starts with actually a little square, and then that becomes a octagon, and then goes up the side in plain oblique twining with extra twists between the splittings, and ends with a dark rim cord. So here's the start on that one. First making a square and then going into the octagon shape. And then going up the sides, adding the rim cord and bringing the ends out and trimming them off and unplying them. This one is the business card holder. And this one is actually made following a pattern graph to get that zigzag design. And then the sides and the rim are just simply made with one long cord that is 2 colors to make the stripe effect. Here is the graph that you follow to create the design on the bottom. And you start out by stringing the cords on a knitting needle, and then just follow the graph to determine how to split the cords as you add them. And then once the cords have all been added, you take that long rim cord and go round and round to make the sides. This one is the letter tray, and the cords are split in a certain way to create this design. And once the bottom is finished, then a very long cord is drawn through the cords in the base to create the sides, and then the cords of the bottom actually split the long cord in this section here, and then everything is unplied for fringe. Start out by stringing up the cords on a knitting needle and adding cords, splitting in the right way to make the design that you want. And going around the base so that you have the cords going at a right angle. So they'll go up. And then here's the really long rim cord that first goes through all the cords in the base and the sides. And then the cords that made the sides go through it. This one is called Zig-Zag. And it starts with creating a base with this zigzag pattern, and then the sides are worked in twined linkings, which allows you to have an open effect here and a stripe pattern. And then the top is done with four separate sides, cords that actually meet here and are wrapped on each side. This one, the base is done following a pattern graph, so there's quite a bit of space given over to exactly how to add the cords to make sure you're getting the pattern correctly. And then here is the part that describes the twined linking, where you can think of it as having two cords where A splits B and then B immediately splits A, and that gives you that structure. So then the sides are worked in the twine linkings, and then you have your little short cords for the rim that are added to each side and finished up with a wrapping. This is the Firecracker, and it actually starts out with a little triangular base, two identical bases that are sandwiched together. So the one you can actually see is light, but there's also an identical one that's dark, and they're brought together. All of the cords come out, and then you follow a pattern graph to create this design on the sides. So you have a really nice little cylinder. And then the dark cords, you have a dark rim cord. The dark cords are brought through that to finish off the rim, and all the light cords come up and are unplied to make the little top. You start out here with making the triangular base. And it's a little complicated to do this. I've tied things together just to make sure you don't get confused about which cord goes where. And so the directions show finishing the light base, and then you make another one, the dark one, which is exactly the same. And you put them together, you can see in this photo here. So eventually you have all the cords coming out and ready to go up the sides. And here's the little pattern graph you follow to create that design on the sides. So little by little your design grows. For a little basket, it's quite a few pages of instruction. You can really do any design that you want when you do a method like this. And here's putting on the rim cord and finishing it off. This is the 8-pointed star. And this basket is an example of putting all the light cords going in one direction, all the dark cords in the other direction. And when you do that, you can actually use any square graph paper and graph out a design, and you can ply split it. So once the base is made, then we go up the sides in plain oblique twining and just finish it off with a long ribbon cord. Here's the graph that you follow to create the base. You could have it either way, dark star on a light background or the opposite. So start out by stringing the cords on a knitting needle and split them following the pattern graph. And just go up the sides in plain oblique twining with extra twists between the splitting, and add the rim cord. And you're finished. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the baskets that are in this book. Everything that I've made is fairly symmetrical, but you can use the techniques in this book to learn the structures of ply splitting, and can take it off in your own direction for sculptural pieces and really anything you can imagine.